Kia ora everyone, what's up, and welcome back to another episode of Hori's Tell Stories. It's good to be back in the podcast studio today, eh boys? She's fucking, nature boy.
Nature boy.
She's fucking hot today. But
that was good, bro.
That was fucking...
The nature
boy.
Dirty,
yeah. We could do a new segment with that, bro. Things
Yeah.
that make Pong go, woo.
Nature boy, Pong Flair. I actually was going to play this as my intro, bro. Have you heard the Ric Flair?
Yeah.
Yes, that's my intro now. I'm going to build it into the potties over time, boys.
Nice, bro. But before we get into intros, special mention to our sponsor, Cuzzies. So,
Cuzzies.
this podcast is sponsored by Cuzzies. Get down to Bertram, located here in Perth, for all your Kiwi needs, man. Your hangies,
The goods.
The taste of home.
Yeah, bro.
So shout out to Cuzzies. I said that last time, Cuzzies. But get down to Bertram for a feed. Intros, yes. So, bro, I was actually taking a look at your resume the other day. You're a man of many achievements, bro.
Yeah, I had to talk it up. I haven't done a resume in a long time. I needed to just kind of talk myself up a bit.
But the man to my left is a NZ Royal Navy combat specialist.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't know actually.
Ponga.
Could have honest, bro. I left, bro. So they used to be called gunnery branch. And then just as I joined, they changed it. So I left out a little part there because I knew everyone would give me shit. It's a seaman combat specialist. And so I was like, nah, fuck. I'm just gonna say combat specialist, bro. So yeah, that's me, cuz.
Nice, bro.
Could you trust me with a gun, bro? Could you imagine me trying to shoot a fucking rifle or something? Shoot myself in the toe.
Well, it's good to know, bro. If we ever get into some kind of, combat, then we can come to our specialist over here, bro. And
Speaking of that, I've actually got a little almost had a fight moment yesterday. I'll touch on it later.
We'll touch on that later.
Our seaman specialist.
And to the right, 2022 PT of the Year, Coach Joe.
I can claim that all year, boys.
You can, bro.
All year. And
Yep.
I'll
All year,
take
Neff.
it.
Yep.
Take it right up until the 31st of December, boys.
Nice, bro.
That's a good drive to compete with the other trainers, eh?
I need
So
it,
you can let them know
Undisputed,
who
bro.
you are
I
Yep.
needed it,
for
bro.
2023, bro.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, bro. Nice. But today we're very fortunate to have a guest in the studio with us, and he is the founder of Haka for Life, and it's Leaon Ruri, is it?
Yep.
Pleasure, bro. Thank you for coming in.
Oh,
Yeah, bro.
good to be here, brothers. Yeah.
Awesome,
Also,
bro.
I've been watching you for a little while.
Yep. Appreciate
Just
that.
like many people have. I saw your 50,000 podcasts and your streams and all of that sort of
Yep.
stuff. So
Yep.
it's going good.
Oh, awesome, bro. Appreciate that. But before we get into your story, bro, what we will do is do our usual setup. Pit and peak, boys. Pong, you go off, bro.
Start with a
combat
peak,
specialist. Go.
a pits. It's like brother sent me a message and the sister-in-law borrowed their car while I was back in NZ. Got a speeding ticket, brothers. First one in a while, but I was driving 60 because Perth Road's mainly in some areas, drive 60 in the 50k zone, so it wasn't too bad. And he sent me a screenshot. I was like, oh yeah, send deets. And he goes, nah, you can pay it directly to the link, bro. I know what you're trying to do. So that was my little pit. Peak went to Juicy, would have seen. Couple of beers, it was pretty mean. Nelly I thought was on. He was on. Not Nelly, sorry, Neo. I thought Neo was on. Nelly, fuck, I was kind of over it, as soon as you started doing the old, hey, little Porsche. I can't stand that song, but I got a bit embarrassed. I think I told you I was in the little food area, and there was this little young fella dancing. He was just like making a scene, having a good time, bro. And I was sitting there eating my kebab. I was like, get it, brother, get it. And he stopped and pointed, and he goes, are you on a potty? And I was like, oh, he put me on the spot, and I kind of blushed a little bit. He goes, Hori's Tell Stories. And he yelled out to his missus at the other table, babe, come here. It's Kalen Ponga's cousin. Bro, and I was embarrassed, bro. And like even the friends that I was with started cracking up. They're like, what's his name? And he was like, Kisik Ponga. I was like, oh, they don't even know me as my actual name, but it was cool. So it was quite hard case, young fella, bro, or a little tamihana, a little shout out for the bro. But it's cool. He
Shout
come
out,
up,
bro.
wanted a photo.
Seen that too,
And
bro.
I was kind of, you see me kind of smiling, laughing. I was kind of a little bit embarrassed, happy,
Yeah.
put on the spot. So, but Juicy Fest was good. Like I was saying, almost got into, I didn't really get into a rumble. I'm not going to claim up on that. Fella was kind of clowning it, and the bro stepped in and told him to calm down, and he pushed him back. And I was just sitting there like, oh no, I've got to, you got to back the bros up. I was like, I'm not really a combat specialist, if you know what I mean. I was just sitting there, I was like, I'm the smallest man here, but I can't provide anything. All I'm good for is a kick in the back and a run off.
Yeah.
But that was my pit and peak, boys.
Nice, bro. Job.
I was supposed to say it last week, boys. It was a bit of a peak from a pit and peak. This was over the Christmas period. So I had this plan, bro, to buy the boys a millionaire's basketball hoop, bro. For out the back, the boys are starting to shoot the old basketball in, bro.
Yep.
And I thought, that's choice for me too, to be able to shoot a few hoops out the back, bro, just the smaller basketball. And I saw this basketball hoop at Rebel, bro, and it was about $450. And I thought, this would be a good present for the boys. Might do the old afterpays or, something like that. And then bloody a week before Christmas, bro, before I was going to go and get it, my intercooler fucked out on the Ranger boys. My baby girl, the intercooler.
At least it wasn't the fan belt.
Problems, bro.
And you boys know I love my Ranger too, bro? Yeah. Jacked up 4 inches, boys, got the flares on it. But, had some intercooler issues, bro. And I thought, it shouldn't be too bad because I could still drive it, but the mechanical light come on. Took it into the Automasters next to Spearwood there. They said, bro, there's a massive crack in your intercooler and it's affecting one of the pistons as well. So we're going to have to replace one of the pistons. And the intercooler, it's going to cost $2,000. And I was like, a week before Christmas, bro. And I said, fuck, if I have to pay for this, then I can't afford to pay for the basketball hoop, bro. So that was a bit of a pit for me moving into that. Boys don't care what they got anyway. They just ended up playing with the bloody $20 water slide that I bought.
That's how it works, bro?
Yeah. But then, so that was a bit of a pit for me. But then the peak was just after Christmas, bro. I was looking on Marketplace, and the same hoop was going for $100, bro, down in Medora Bay, down in Mandurah.
Cracked it.
Fuck, bro. Took the ute down. The freshly changed intercooler ute, bro. Took it down, picked up the hoop for $100 after Christmas, bro.
Yep.
So that
Nice,
was a pit for me.
It's funny you say that, bro. Like, bought my kids toys, and then my little kid was just playing with the pots and pans. Yeah. And I was like, here's me buying all these toys, and he's playing with the pots. Sometimes they don't even care, eh? Just something simple
sure,
can
bro.
just keep them happy.
Nice, bro. Leon, got anything for us, bro?
Yeah, I got a pit. I'll start with a pit for me was having work delayed. I work for myself as a consultant, work up in the mining industry, and then just planning a whole lot of work to go with one of the big mining companies this week. And then to be told yesterday, sorry, we haven't even read your emails you've been sending us. I had to take a deep breath. And she said, I hope that's okay. And I paused intentionally. I said, not really. But we'll work through it.
Yeah, that's the one. Positive response.
We've delayed it a month to do that work, but I've been putting a lot of work into that stuff, so it was over the line. I'm big on communication. Yep, we're all good. Yep, let's go. And then, sorry, we haven't read your email. So that was a pit. The peak for me was I'm working on a project where we're going over to Mardi Gras for
Did see that.
World
Yeah, I've
Pride.
seen that. Yep.
Sydney, yeah?
Yeah, Sydney, bro.
Yep,
So,
We'll touch
you know,
on
the
that.
peak for me there is that we've nearly got 80 people registered. At the Mardi Gras, you're allowed 80 people as the biggest float there, and we're fortunate enough that Mardi Gras give us that, and we're just about registered out. So, you know, it's been massive, bro, this weekend. And getting introduced to new people that I've never met yet, and coordinating it and creating it. So it's going to be awesome.
Choice, bro.
Sorry, bro. When is that, did you say?
February the 25th.
Oh, nice.
Sydney,
Sydney, bro. Yeah. And it's a part of World Pride. So they have the World Pride around the world every year.
Yep.
And they've got it in Sydney this year. So it's bigger than normal.
Mean.
That's mean, bro.
Yeah, awesome.
Mean. My pit, well, it seems like there's been a few car issues today, boys. And I actually had one during the week. My car, it was actually the battery. It's fucked. I was coming off. I was down south anyway, far down south, bro. I don't know that area anyway. I was coming off, about to turn onto the freeway. I was at the lights, bro. Like very front car at the lights, about to turn, and then my car just fucking turns off, bro. Turning onto Kwinana, bro, and there's just a row of cars like behind me, bro.
Sweating.
And then, like fucking trying to chuck it back into the park, bro, turn it on. Fuck, the bastard didn't want to turn on, bro. And then I was like, just hit the hazard lights, bro, and just head down for ages, bro. And I was like, fuck. All these guys behind me, bro, beeping, beeping, beeping. One fella ended up jumping in. Hey, mate, you all right? I was like, nah, bro, I'm fucked. I'm fucked, brother. Help me out. So we just pushed it to the side and he ended up sussing it out. New battery. But fan belt's still yet to be fixed as well.
Oh, no.
Yeah, bro. Yep. My peak, though, I thought it would be a pit, but it's actually a peak for me. I'm going back up north, back up to the mines next week. It's a peak for me because I need to make some money, bro.
Fix his fan belt.
Fix my fan belt. Got a hell of a lot of invoices I need to pay off as well. Obviously, things we want to get into things like merch and shit like that, bro. Just to get ahead a little bit more, bro.
Handling your business, Nick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Handling your
That's
business.
it, bro.
Awesome.
That's it. So yeah, that's a peak for me. But
Just for the listeners, actually, the last potty before we left, I was getting a ride with the Neff Job, and Cora goes, "Oh, can you fellas leave? I just don't want you to hear my fan belt." So Cora waited and left after us, just so we would have never giggled. It's sad, It's sad, but your car problems bring me joy. Actually, Neff, I've got a mate that's a mechanica, straight up.
Bro,
So
hook
I've
it
got
up.
you.
Nah,
I'll
I've
hook it
heard
up.
those ones before.
No, actually, I actually do, bro.
I've heard
He's
those
actually
ones.
saved my ass a few times, and
Is
he's
he?
reliable, bro. So yeah, I'll flick the D.
Is he Māori?
Yeah.
Oh, weird.
yeah.
Oh. Weird.
It's just the phones out because I know if something happens, you fellas will be the first to get the phone out, bro.
Content.
Content.
Straight on the
Content.
page.
Content creators.
But anyways, that's Pit and Peak for another week. Now, Leon, bro. Look, I believe that there's a series of events that happen, especially throughout our youth, that play a part in what we do today. Could you provide us a bit of context, bro, from your youth that you would say is responsible for the person that's sitting here today?
Yeah, probably one of the things that I've learned about myself that was the most impactful thing that I had no idea that was still impacting me today was my sexual abuse. I know that's something that I see it in the work that I do and the people that I get to engage with, people that have been sexually abused. And that was one thing for me that I have learnt as an adult that shaped the way that I was, not necessarily in a positive sense, but once I've come older and done therapy and spoken to people and healing and grown a greater understanding about myself, I've learnt about how that shaped me as an adult, or when I look back on some of the fuck-ups that I've had in life, or the way that my pattern thoughts were sort of wired, and at times I'd be in my head thinking, shit, there's something wrong with me. When I sat down with a psychologist finally and sort of had the courage to share with her at that stage that, hey, I've been sexually abused, she was then able to tell me, this is the type of person you're like. These are the type of character traits. This is how you think. And I just had fucking zero idea.
Yeah.
Literally zero idea. That's stuff that happened to me as a kid before I come to Australia, and I just didn't think I just didn't think it played out at all. Had no impact whatsoever, but I was absolutely wrong. So that shaped me. It helps me today. I'm very passionate about the work that I do, and in the type of work that I do and the many people that I get to engage with, I just see it so prevalent. In so many people today, and I've learnt that there's husbands and boyfriends or side pieces. I don't know who here's got a missus or anything like that, but you have Caleb Ponga's cousin, got a partner. But what I've learned is that there's many people, it doesn't matter whether they're male or female, that have never shared those sorts of experiences with anybody, and they traverse through life sort of holding on to those things and not realising the impact on the mind. And how it shapes them these days. So that's definitely, when I look back for me, that's definitely one of the biggest factors that impacted me. But the other side too is, that I've learnt about myself is that willingness to be willing. And I was one of those fellas that, a bit like, Will's reaching out to have me on the podcast and that sort of stuff, go and ask, always up for exploring things and never sort of staying in my box. That's something from my youth. As a kid, I was quite inquisitive. That's boded me really well, in life and opened up opportunities for me.
Nice, bro. Tell us about your parents, bro.
I don't want to. I love my mum and dad. When I was growing up, we grew up in our, connected to our culture. I grew up in Ngarawahia, and our marae, well, my mum's side is Tūranga Waewae, and we're really connected to that.
Is that the home of the Māori royalties?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's the well,
royal
they say that.
Runner. Yeah.
Even though they sort of live down in Huntly and that, or they're more connected to Huntly.
Yep.
To a degree, I say that without offending any of our whānau or Tainui or anything like that. But yeah, that's that marae. But growing up, my mum then chose religion, and chose the Jehovah's Witness religion.
Yeah, right.
When I was about 10 or 11. It's about 10 or 11. So that sort of shifted us away from our Māori culture, because we weren't allowed to speak te reo or anything like that. They had certain beliefs in that religion about our culture.
Is that still in place now?
They've recently just gone back to it, yeah. So, that side of it for them, but it's definitely not anything that I align to in life at all.
Is that just any language in general? Like, you're not allowed to speak any other language? Is that what you're trying to say?
Not more so the cultural beliefs that we have behind our atua.
Yes, spiritual and all sorts.
The spirituality side of things, and that, that there's a lot of criticisms about our culture and being demonic and all of that sort of stuff. And, so it was a different world that we grew up connected to our culture, and then all of a sudden we're, got this religious walk that we're sort of walking, and I'd be one of those young fellas going around knocking on doors. The old Jehovah's Witnesses are known for that. And that was me. But at the same time, I was, really good at sports. So I ended up moving out of home at 15. But when I look back at, my time back then and even younger, my dad was, back in those days, he was heavy with the hand, man. Used to not hold back or anything like that.
Yeah.
Other words, smash fuck out of me. And
not uncommon though, bro. It's
not uncommon, bro.
It's what they learned. It's what they grew up on, bro. It's all they saw at times, I thought that generation.
Yeah, and that's what I've learned, Will. I look at my relationship with my mum and dad today, and I absolutely love them. I don't hold, there's nothing there for my dad. There was a stage when I was a teenager growing up where I hated him. I just for the things that he had done to me in a physical sense, but. You're right, Will. I learnt the sort of the relationship what my dad had with my grandfather, and that was fractured as well. They used to punch on quite often, and then learning about my great grandfather and learning that intergenerational trauma that just gets passed on or behaviours. Yeah, so they only do what they know to do.
And didn't make it any better back in those days when we didn't understand the piss as well. When the piss was introduced to Māori as well, that's only been like the last 50 to 100 years, when that piss was introduced, which made things even
worse,
10 times worse.
Yeah. And then my mum was a teenage mother, so she was 17 when she had me, so she's quite young. So it's been a bit of a journey, like learning. But for everything that's happened, I'm grateful. I look at my mum and dad today, and they're wonderful grandparents. They've taught us a lot. One of the things, it's interesting, even though their religious side was quite restrictive in a sense, one thing that I've noticed in my parents, outside of that religious stuff, which as an adult, they don't put the pressure on you or anything like that to go and join, but they allowed us the freedom to be whoever we are. And that's one thing that I love about my parents, just allowing that space. And as I say, when I look at them as grandparents today for my children, they're absolutely wonderful.
Awesome, bro. You spoke about sport. That you're quite good at sport. What were you playing?
What actually brought me to Perth, I came over in 94. Mum and Dad moved over in 94. And they had the Western Reds. They were called back
WA
then.
Reds,
Yeah, they had the Junior Reds were actually in the competition in 1994 in the local comp here first. That was a year before the NRL full side came over, or ARL back then, New South Wales Rugby League. And I came over because I wanted a trial out for that. They had the President's Cup and that here in Perth. So me and a cousin come over from home. I used the tax check that I had back home because I was working at South Pacific Aluminium and Te Rapa, and on $5.46, I think it was, flat rate. Now, killing it. And I remember all the men there, buzzing out because it was $9.06 an hour was the big pay rate in that workplace.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and I think back to those times and think, man, slave labour. But I said to the cuz, hey, let's get us a ticket. We'll go over there. We've got a place to stay with Mum and Dad. And if it doesn't work out, we'll come back home. So, we both jumped on a plane. Well, he went and asked my auntie and said, Mum, I'm going to go with the cuz over to Perth. And she said, I'll pay your ticket. And so he came over and we trialled out and got in that under-21 side. And that was a dream for me. I going to school in Ngarawahia, I got kicked out in fifth form or year 10 and graduated with 5 E's from School C. So, you know, from an academic point of view, I was a good football player. You know, like,
It's better than an F, bro.
doesn't actually get any lower. I actually just emailed the New Zealand Education Department this week for my results. So, yeah, I'm waiting for them to be emailed to me.
That's always a good laugh. I done that a while ago too, and you kind of have a little giggle looking back. You wish you had the same mindset you have now back then as a kid, because you know you would have applied yourself a bit better. But
I passed, boys.
no, I didn't.
I passed, but we changed it. It was it's called NCA.
NCA.
I was good at eating my lunch,
Yeah, I was the same too. I just wanted to play sport, and
eat lunch.
be two things: a truck driver and a rugby league player, and you know, go to Aussie and from the religious side of things, like growing up as a kid, and that they don't allow you to play sport, or back then they didn't allow you to play sport, so I couldn't. I used to go and sneak over and, Mum and Dad, I'm going to see Uncle, or go to see our grandparents. They lived across the road in Patterson Park in Ngarawahia, and I'd say that I was going to see my grandparents, but I'd sneak over for a game of football, wash myself up, shower afterwards,
Nice.
and, you know,
Commitment.
carry on. But that
Knock
was
on a few doors.
knock on a few doors,
So how did the whole rugby league pan out? How long were you playing over here for?
I played here 95 and 96, and then I went up to Karratha, because in 1996 they had the Super League war. Back
I remember
then.
that.
So,
Yeah,
they had the competition was a full competition in Perth. Even locally, that was the sort of regarded as the best year for rugby league in Perth rugby league.
Were you
history.
playing local footy here?
Yeah. So for the Western Reds, so they had what happened for us is that we. With the President's Cup side, because of the travel costs and that, we didn't get to fly over east, but we were all like 17 and 18 playing in the first grade comp.
Oh, okay.
So we had a team in the first grade comp.
Yep.
And then players would sort of come back from reserve grade at the Reds and
down,
play with us and then go back up. Yeah. So that was sort of the format there for rugby league. In 96, I looked at a job up north, because we got cut with the Super League and all of that sort of stuff, drama that went down. I was supposed to go down to Fremantle Roosters, because they had a few of us that had been playing that they recommended to go down there, and they'd still, even though the senior teams were still sort of playing in the Super League comp, I got a bit pissed off. That was one of my traits as a young fella. Got offended, and I had my boss at the time was the president of the Palmyra Rugby Club, and one of the other guys played rugby, and then they talked me into going to play rugby for Pally. So I went there, and then I ended up in Karratha. I played there in 97 and worked away. I sort of thought, shit, I've got to create a new lifestyle for myself. And then I got a call from my coach that was at the Western Reds. He'd come back from England. He'd been coaching the Warrington Wolves, and he's back down in Wollongong, and asked me if I wanted to have another crack at trying to get in the big time. And so I went back over to Sydney, and I played down in the Carlton Cup in the Illawarra region. And then in the Metro Cup in 99, and then I got injured in 2000, and that was me. So it was all over.
Done, eh?
Yeah, with no plan B, at all in life. Like,
so what did you do after that then, after your injury?
Oh, well, I returned back to Perth from Sydney at that time. I'd had my daughter, my oldest girl was born in Sydney, and then my oldest boy, or my girlfriend at the time, was pregnant with my oldest boy, and she wanted to come back here to Perth to be around her family to get a bit more support. So, like with my injury and that, I thought, I'll head back there too. And stepped into truck driving. I'd been truck driving and that over in Sydney as well. And I worked for Clean Heat Gas here. I was driving gas tankers around Perth, and then eventually I graduated to driving Woolies. Woolies.
True.
Trucks, and then this is where I run into Wilbur.
Yeah. He was the two-way truck driver, and I was telling him, bro, chuck it on here, chuck it on here.
Everyone's got a Woolies connection through the man over there. Even when I first got here, I done pretty shit. And then I left and started just not turning up to work and stuff. And I remember the Nefco's Nef Day. I was talking to them about you, and they reckon, don't you ever come back.
Yeah, so I just spent a lot of time, truck driving and trying to create other opportunities too. I commentated the local rugby for a while when I coached the Willagee Bears for rugby league when I come back from Sydney. They asked me to help out, and then their coach didn't show up, and they said, can you coach us?
Job.
Yeah, so it was a good learning experience. But I got invited down to Radio Fremantle to be interviewed about rugby, and they just thought they didn't know the difference between rugby and rugby league, and they said, do you want to come in the week after and do a bit of a half-hour segment. So we did that, and that eventually led to me putting together a proposal to the local Rugby WA for us to commentate the local rugby games. So we used to go around in the Caravan of Love and that we caught it and go around to the local to pick a match of the round, and we'd commentate all the local games. I'd done the Super 12 too the year before that, and then we'd do some of the WA state games. We did the test matches here as well too, commentated all of those sorts of things. So
Good choice, bro.
yeah,
Man.
done a few different things in life
Yeah.
since coming over.
Got a connection for us. Get us on the gig, bro.
Well, just remain consistent, boys, and
Yeah.
where you got to be sharp and just sharpen up. You know,
Yeah,
Keep
that's
going,
the
I
one.
believe that's all it is.
Sharpen up. I like that.
So FIFO, when was it that you got into FIFO?
I got into FIFO in 2011 or late 2010.
Okay,
Yeah,
yep.
like I said, I'd worked up in Karratha and that previously, but I stayed in Karratha for 18 months when I was doing that. But then I got into FIFO in late 2010 up on the Gorgon Gas Project. So I was up there for 5.5 years,
Yep.
and got into that. And then I finished up there.
There would have been long swings, eh?
Yeah, 26 and 9 swings. Yeah, they were long swings. But it was unique. It was a good learning opportunity. I went up there driving for toll at that time, and I probably learnt more in that at that time on a project like that I'd learnt at any time from a transport point of view, which I was a truck driver and sort of engrossed in learning as much as I can. Doesn't matter what environment I'm in, but that was unique because that's the biggest resources project we've ever had in Australia. It's something on another level. I think it ended up at $76 billion or something like that it cost.
Yep.
So just to see something to that magnitude and so unique in that it was built on an island, so everything was shipped out there and transported around the island was so unique. And I learned a lot about FIFO, and that sort of helped shape the work that I do today. But yeah, it was long swings. You see different, different challenges even for me at that time. There was a lot of things that I didn't have in place in a positive sense. Like on my R&O, I had a beautiful girlfriend, and that my marriage had broken down by that time. Sort of post 3 years after my marriage had ended, and met a girl up there on Barrow Island. And but behind that, for me, I was drinking piss, gambling, on the pipe, doing all of those sorts of things on R&R, which is a huge part of FIFO industry now, still today.
Yep.
So trying to manage all of those things, which is connected to, as I was saying, that piece about the sexual abuse and, how I would deal with pressure and all of those sorts of things, not realising the internal impacts that it was having, then it causes the pattern of behaviour to show up.
Yep.
There's in those situations where there's a lot of stresses in life, and I just didn't have the ability to be able to, filter it, to be able to work through it, to be able to break it down, to be able to manage it. And so my coping mechanisms were on the piss, and on the pipe.
Yeah, like you said, it's you see that a lot. Like when I was working away, it would have been a couple of years ago. Like it's kind of like the norm to everyone. It's just go to work, boom, straight back on the piss. Even straight after shift, everyone's just on the piss. Day shift, night shift, coming home from work at camp, boom, straight on the piss, and it's just like a pattern that they do on the daily, man, for like a whole swing. And I'm just sitting there watching like, what the fuck? But it's the norm, bro. It's the norm. So how did you, I guess, how did you fix that?
I didn't fix it at that time. I've sort of fixed that in the last 6 years for me. I haven't drank alcohol for.
So how long was that ongoing for, would you say?
Oh, fuck, up until I was 40, man. So, that was even post that. So I was out there 2010, but I'd sort of grown up doing drugs and all of that as well too. Especially more so once we got to Australia back home. I was just marijuana or hoon or DAC, as we used to say back in the day. You say those sorts of things. You're having a hoon and they can look at you sideways. And you come to Australia and you learn stuff like bucket bongs and all that you'd never seen. And sort of that's all I had at that stage. And I remember, I lived with a group of brothers from back home, and that we all lived together over here as like 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds. And we sort of graduated to ecstasy and things like that that we'd only ever heard about, and then gradually it just become a norm, and then snorting, smoking, whatever, injecting, all of those sorts of things just become a normal part of life. And You know, and then as you go through life, as you know, you have babies and get married and do all of these sorts of things. It's harder for those types of behaviours to remain in your life and not affect some part of it.
Yep.
It's easier when you've got no sort of responsibilities and ties to other people or to work sort of settings where you're not necessarily in a role of responsibility, which for me at that time predominantly I was just a truck driver.
Yep.
So there's not a huge massive amount. I just got to look after myself, and I was able to do that. But you know, it does take an impact when you start to add a bit more to life. And
Yep.
you know, those are the things that I had to change more so, like I say, about 6 years ago when I really started to look at some opportunities that had come up. I'd started to create a few things in my personal life, and I was starting to grow. But and I'd get invited onto like podcasts or, not so much podcasts here, but at events to go and speak. And there were just aspects of me I just know, like for the work that I do, it's not a joke for me. You know, I realise that I haven't forgotten the challenges and what it's like for some people that struggle. But there were just times when I was all shit. Going to these events, and I might be a talker, be a guest speaker there, and then afterwards I'll be on the piss, harder, drunker than anybody, you know, and everything that I'm up there sort of speaking about, I diminish my mana, you know,
Yep.
just take it away from myself. So I didn't want to show up like that, and probably the last time that I got pissed was at the Raffles hotel just over here in Perth, and got an eckie put in my mouth from a girlfriend, and you know the old rules: you swallow, you don't spit. So
Was that your old Benny Cousins there, bro?
he would have been a good mate to hang out with. Yeah, that's how we rolled. But I had a shitload of MDMA that I'd forgot about, and then realised that I'd made a dick of myself again, and it just wasn't in alignment with who I wanted to be in life. And when I look back on a lot of situations in life, a couple of things were present, you know, piss or drugs or both of them. And I just had to be responsible. So I was just talking to a mate and saying, hey, how did you stop drinking for he jumped off the piss for a year. And then at that time I'd sort of come off the pipe because I'd realised that I can't, you know, sort of show up fucking smoking ice all the time and all of that stuff. But so that wasn't too bad, but I would still compromise myself through the alcohol side of things. You know, I thought I could get away with this. I'm a happy drunk. It's all good. And 99 times out of 100, it's good. But on that 100th time, when all the fucking stars line up and the fucking place is pumping and everything's happening and, you know, someone's got something, I'm fucking all in, bro.
Yeah.
Juicy fists.
Juicy fist.
All in.
Yeah, all in, bro. All in, you know, whether I'm a seaman or not. I'm in, you know, so,
I should have never said that, eh? Edit that out.
yeah, and that's you know, that's what I know about myself for that. So it was really just you know, learning about myself and understanding, like, hey, I've got to go and talk to somebody that might be able to help me unravel all of this stuff, the way that I show up. So that's the work that I went and done. I had to look at myself and say, bro, there's areas of your life where you're just fucking all shit, man. And it's been learned. You know, you talk earlier about what our parents learned and all of that. It's learned for us too. You know, we're no different to them, and we only do what we know to do.
Yeah.
And in saying that, I was
Monkey
full of
see,
shit.
monkey do, eh?
Yeah, well, we know no other way, so how can we act, you know, any other way? So, but in saying that I was full of shit, still, you know, having the love there for myself to know that, hey, we're going to change this then.
Yep.
You know, like I didn't want to show up as somebody that was inauthentic or just not myself.
Is that when therapy come into play?
Yeah, bro.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was doing a shitload of self-development work then as well too. I was doing a truckload of courses. That was probably a pivotal moment when I done a self-development course that really changed the way that I saw myself, and I realised that there was so much about myself and my life that I'd made up about myself. And this is what I've learned about humans. You know, that's what we do. We have experiences in life, and then we make it mean something. It can be both a pit or a peak, to use, you know, the terms that you refer to. And quite often what I've seen is that human beings live into the pit part of us, and we believe it. We have people around us at times that can speak into it to empower it. Then we walk through life thinking at times I'm not good enough. And it's not necessarily so that we're not good enough. It might be that we're just in the wrong environment, a PT sense. We'd never have discovered this man was the best PT, one of the best in Perth, had he stayed at his old gym. You know, so it's just the environment that you're in, you know, and shifting things and understanding things about yourself. And so doing that self-reflective stuff where I, you know, part of that process was getting on phone calls with people, going to see people kānui, ki te kānui, and apologising for things that I may have done in life, completing things that we leave so incomplete at times. And we walk through life sort of avoiding situations. We're happy here in this environment, and we might be walking down the road and see, fuck it out, I'm not going to go over there.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't want to live life like that way. So it was going to have conversations with people, and
they would have been uncomfortable
acknowledging-
conversations as well. Yeah.
Oh fuck, bro! That's why I got no hair.
Alopecia, bro.
Alopecia, bro. Gets us all. Hey. Some worse than others, eh? So, bro, just with like your first like therapy session, like did you kind of put your hand up and go see someone yourself, or did someone kind of go, hey, bro, I think you need to go talk to someone?
Well, my very first one was while I was doing FIFO. I did the
Yep.
EAP. They recommend that, and life was sort of off track. And I remember going to talk to a lady here in Perth at a flash office there. And as I was talking, I love the fact that you fellas love to swear in that, because at times I do, and I
Yep.
swear a lot,
Yep.
and
Yep.
at times I don't swear at all. But the freedom and the space just to be
Environment.
myself.
Yep.
Yeah, and I was there, and I was thinking, fuck, bro. We got to sort some shit out, because it's not going good. I'm lying to my partner, my girlfriend at the time, just trying to survive and do all of these things. I didn't want to show up like that, so let's go and talk to this lady. And as I was talking, she said, "Don't swear." And I thought, fuck. I looked up at her because it took me a bit by surprise, and I said, I'm just sort of talking. I'm just sharing what's been going on. And she said, "I don't care. You don't swear in my practice." And I didn't say it to her, but I thought, fuck you. And for me at that time, I was like, fuck you, I'm here for me, not for you.
Yeah,
You're supposed to be paid to listen to what I'm saying. That's what they say. So I learned something about psychologists in that moment, was that not all psychologists can be with every sort of communication that you share. So
Yep.
it's important to find the right one.
Right person name.
Yeah, bro. But it shut me up, and then it was a couple of years after that I went to talk to another, psychologist, and that came at the encouragement of my children, actually, because I was a single dad. I'd had an agreement to finish FIFO and come down and have my oldest son with me, and then in a matter of about a month, I ended up with all 4 kids.
Yep.
And then it took me less than a month to work out even quicker that I was fucking not as sharp at being a dad as what I thought I was, and I needed some help. And I'd say to them, "Hey, you fellas better go and talk to those psychologists. They have those child psychologists. They reckon to me, you're the one with the problems, bro."
Yeah.
It's funny you say that. Like I think I told you I went to a therapy session. My very first one was not good because I didn't know what to expect, because you got to, open up and talk, and that was hard. But I found this person online and sussed it out, and it was his house. I thought, this doesn't really look like a therapy kind of place. And I was sitting there talking and kind of letting everything out. And the whole time he didn't say shit. He didn't say anything. And I left feeling a bit like, fuck, that was a waste of time. Like I didn't feel like I got anything out of it. But then I'd seen someone else, and like it was good. They were engaged and kind of helped me or gave me some tips and things like that. So yeah, like in saying that, my first one wasn't really the best either. So anyone listening, if you are, you might need to see someone, or someone else might be better for you. So don't kind of give up on the first one. Yeah.
Great advice, bro.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And that's what I found for me. So the next one that I spoke to, she was incredible. Like
Yeah.
I love that lady.
Yeah.
Like she taught me so much about human behaviour, not only about myself but also about others. And there was even a while after, like I've done truckloads of work with her and love that. There was a time when she herself ended up in the mental health ward.
Yep.
And I remember going in there to see her, and she's a clinical psychologist, and I'd heard through some friends that she was in there and struggling mentally. She's an incredibly brilliant lady, her mind's just phenomenal. And I remember going in there and talking to her, and she spoke to me for about 10, 15 minutes, really, really fast. Leon, this is not a part of me. I shouldn't be here. This is going to damage my professional reputation. And she was just talking, sort of justifying why she found herself in that position. And I remember her sort of finishing what she had to say after a while, and I just said, hey, I don't give a fuck about any of that. I'm here because I love you.
Yep.
I'm here because of what you did for my life. And I don't care what people say about you. It'll never change my opinion of you.
Yeah.
I just want you to know that you are here for my time of need, and I'm here,
me.
and people are humans, so even psychologists in that struggle. But sitting down with her, and that's in that first session when I'd said to her I'd been sexually abused, and she said to me, I know. Straight away, and I thought, fuck, I just, it'd be like me just rocking up saying, I've been sexually abused, bro, and you sort of saying, oh, I know.
Yeah,
I said,
yeah.
fucking hang on, bro, we just met, like we just sat down. And, that's what it was like, but for her to then explain to me exactly what I was like and how I would show up, it fucking blew me away, bro. I'd never had anybody ever be able to do that at all and say, this is how you show up in a relationship with a partner.
Yep.
This is your behavioural patterns, and that. I was like, fuck.
It's unreal, bro.
Yeah, it's unreal, and I love sharing these things because there are so many people, as I said, that have experienced this, and it's secretive shit that people will hold on to their whole life and won't tell anybody at all, and I've just seen so many people that are affected by it.
I'm not trying to be a clinical psychologist here. I know I've got a lot of wisdom, bro. But was she dealing with PTSD, bro? Because of her mahi?
Hey, possibly, brother, but one of the things that I saw for her is that her mind was that incredible. She needed a team of people.
Yep.
And that was probably one of her things. I'd always encourage her, hey, you need to get a team, because by herself, as you know, when your mind's with it by itself at times, a friend of mine said that the worst place you can hang out or the worst neighbourhood is in your mind.
Yeah, for sure, bro.
And for her, yeah, quite possibly.
She's taken on everyone else's problems, eh?
Yeah.
As a psychologist, it'd
be quite hard, eh?
Yeah, it'd be hard, bro.
Yeah, well,
Quite a
her
lot of
level of listening
confronting.
is sharp too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I loved. Her, you could literally sit here and she could almost recite our conversation.
Like
from
even
what we've
you
said.
talking to me, like when you said sexually abused, I didn't know that, bro. Like it sort of puts me like at the back foot. Like I don't want to ask questions about it. So I can only imagine a psychologist taking all that on and having to like really conversate with someone and try to break them down and stuff like that. And it takes a strong sort of person to be able to take that info on.
Yeah, bro, you're right.
All those someone else's experiences, someone's really dark, deep experiences on.
Yeah,
It'll play havoc.
And to build the relationship and the connection where they absolutely trust you. And part of that process is that you don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, for them as psychologists or for professional therapists and that, it's when people are opening up to them, part of their role is to not go and share those sorts of things.
Because they'd have their own relationships, their own stresses.
Oh, yeah, bro.
So you got to think about it like that. I think people probably don't even think like that. You would think like that. When
Yeah.
they go see someone, probably just think, oh no, they've got everything sorted. They can just help me out.
Yeah, and it's a balance too, because especially with people that are suicidal or, there's a lot at stake when they're starting to open up. It's an incredibly important time to make sure that you manage that properly. And for some people, they're just opening up for the first time. Fuck, bro, don't say anything to anybody. I don't want you to. So, you need to build that trust. Especially for me, I've been able to speak to a lot of people, especially when they're suicidal and have been at that point where they want to take their lives. It becomes incredibly important. That they're fully aware that what they're telling you, you're not going to go and share with anybody.
Trust.
At all. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you deal with something like that, bro? You spoke about how you've dealt with people that are suicidal. Like how do you deal with something like that, bro?
Oh, for me, with people, I worked. One of my roles a couple of years ago was working in post-vention suicide support. I worked with the National Indigenous Critical Response Service, and I worked with a sister there whose son had taken his life. And she always said to me, she's a sister girl from South Australia. She said to me, brother, they're not your stories. They're not yours to take on.
Yep.
They're theirs. So, with me and the self-development that I've learned and the awareness and understanding is that I'm there for them whenever anybody is sharing about what they're dealing with. I'm not there for me. And that's just, I don't know whether it's easier for me to do that, but I don't. It's very, very rare that I'll get emotionally moved by somebody. That's not to say that I won't cry or that I don't understand what they're going through, but when I'm listening to somebody, the biggest thing that I've seen is that people just want to be listened to. They get to a point in life where they're talking to their support structures that they have in life, e.g. their friend circles or something like that. There will be an aspect of it where if they're suicidal and wanting to talk, there will be a belief that somebody's not listening or I'm not being listened to or I'm not being heard. So it becomes important when you see people that are struggling to sit there and to hold that space. And some of it's, it can happen so many different ways. Sometimes it is just sitting there listening, saying nothing. Other times it's traversing them through a conversation and trying to talk. I remember a friend comes to mind. He'd been sexually abused by his grandfather.
Yep.
And he rang me up, and he hadn't even shared with his wife. I know his wife, I know his children. And he said, I've never told anybody. And it's caused so much family drama, for him. Judgment from his family for him, because he had never go to family gatherings. And none of the family knew what his grandfather had done to him. So that was one of those times where hey man, this is for me to keep to myself and not share those things. I still haven't shared anything about that sort of stuff about who that guy is, or anything to give those things away. But it becomes incredibly important in those moments. And for him, he was just open. I don't even know what to fucking say. Just, hey bro, it's all good. You just sit here in silence. That's all good.
It does have a damaging effect. So we kind of talked about it before on the potty and stuff like that. But like I went back home for Christmas, and there was a mate that hadn't seen him in years. We kind of had not a falling out, just all because he was going through drugs and stuff. And he messaged me while I was here, apologising for something that happened, I think like 5 or 6 years ago. So bro, all good. Like we're dads now, and it's fuck, man, we're adults now. It's all good. I went back home. My auntie lived across the road from his mum, so I hadn't seen her in a long, long time. But I wanted to go and knock on the door and say condolences, because I hadn't seen her since high school. And she had a photo of her son on the front door saying, "My world shattered the day you left, son." She unfortunately wasn't home, but her partner was home, but she'd gone away for the Christmas holidays. So I never got a chance to see her and say condolences and hello. But just seeing that photo was quite sad to look at, because I went to knock on the door, and just because I didn't know at the time what he was going through. If I just talked to him a little bit longer maybe, or something like that, could have maybe tried to help the man out. But it's sad. It's really sad, the after effects of suicide and things like that. So
it alters. It'll alter a family or a whānau for generations.
Yeah.
It doesn't go away. And that's why I'm passionate about who I am, and for me, stepping into that space. For me, when I go and do my work in the mining industry and all of that, I tell them I'm not here to tick boxes. I'm not here to impress anybody. If I'm fucking shit, don't ever have me back.
Yep.
And I demand that of myself, and I demand that of these companies that get people in like myself to talk to their workplaces, because there's many people that are capitalising on opportunities, and it's just a job to talk to people about their emotions, stuff like that, especially in the FIFO industry. It's prevalent. It's it's factually documented that there's huge numbers of people really, really struggling, but that creates employment opportunities too. But for me, it's not a job. I don't even consider what I do a job. It's just me. I'll have the conversations anywhere, any place, any time with people. But if I'm stepping into that space inauthentic in the sense that, hey, telling people you shouldn't do drugs or you shouldn't do piss or anything like that, and then yet fucking here I am on a pipe or on a pick, slamming up, constantly drunk, for me, that's an inauthentic person in that space. I'll kill someone because they find out about the person that they start to believe in, that all of a sudden he's all shit.
Yeah.
Doesn't even believe what he's
Talking
talking about. Yeah, fucking oath. So, it's important that we, recognise these things that we see in each other, and when friends need support, we speak to it. One of the things that I've learned is just by being straight up, man.
Yeah.
I'm clear that I don't know everything. My school C results fucking reflect that quite clearly. And
the system's broken up. System's broken up.
Well, the system was all right. The Mary didn't want to learn. He wanted to get to lunchtime and fucking play football. That's all he was interested in.
Those bloody E's.
Yeah.
E's for excellence, eh?
Yeah. So that's how it's an interesting thing. I remember reaching out to a guy. I saw him online. He follows me online, and I could just tell from his language that he was suicidal. I thought, shit. And I just video called him. I'd never spoken to him in person. Video called him. He was in America, in Hollywood, actually, in LA. And he was drunk, and he was talking, I want to fucking end my life, and he was pretty intense. And then he fucking pulled out a gun, put the gun to his mouth, pulled out it was a Magnum revolver. And he said, I'm going to do it. And I just said to him, fuck, I remember, looking at the video thinking, fuck, I don't want to see this.
Yep.
You know, I just said to him, please, brother, don't fucking do this to me. Don't. We can talk. You know, if you just put this down, we can talk through this situation. I've been in situations like this myself where I felt like not being here. You know, if you place this down, let us just fucking talk for a little while. And he fucked around with it a little bit more. You know, I mean, it was that was a touchy situation to be in, and some of the situations that you're in, you might not necessarily have all of the answers for every moment. You know, I say these things because there's so many people that, hey, you're sharing about this sexual abuse. Fuck, I don't even know what to ask or what to say.
Yeah.
It's all right, you know, to know or to not know what to say at times, but you know, to allow that space there or to speak something in there for, you know, for him, he was about to do an action that wasn't going to be a good outcome. I didn't have all the answers, all the advice in that, but you know, just please don't do it to me. I'm here to help you. We can talk through this. And I stayed on the phone with him for about 3 hours and talked to him. And then, you know, he was a different person by the end of the call. But we just become so overwhelmed. And as I've said earlier, we learn about patterns, and we've all got patterns, behavioural patterns, trigger patterns, all of these sorts of things. And if we can learn these aspects about ourselves, we'll understand stresses and moments in life where things become overwhelming when we're sitting at a set of traffic lights and the fucking battery dies and holy shit. You know, or the intercooler goes on the car, and you know, how do I deal with that a week before Christmas? And I was promised the kids a
The anxiety, bro.
Yeah.
The anxiety.
You learn how to deal with these things.
Let's listen to the fan bout after this. We'll try and come up with a solution, eh? At least we can have a laugh at it, eh? The little fan bout.
Yeah. But you got to have a laugh in life, you know, even in these situations. That's what I love about what you fellas do. Always up for a fucking laugh, man. This is a medicine.
Yeah, it is.
Because life is so serious for some people. No matter how funny we can make a situation, for some they're just not smiling.
Yep.
But even for me, I love having a fucking good laugh.
Yep.
And all of that stuff. But I also know that I'm seeing in life today that there's so many of our whānau, especially, you know, our whānau from back home in Australia that are taking their lives, let alone the people that are from here in Australia that take their lives. So, you know, these are important conversations for us to have and to create and have these moments where I've got no doubt there'll be somebody that'll watch your podcast that'll come back to this particular podcast for whatever reason when they're struggling. And those are the types of kōrero that you want to create for people, you know, because there's lots of laugh ones and we'll have fun and you know, we'll get up to Will's wisdom and all of that sort of stuff, but just to have, you know, moments where we can, you know, somebody's struggling, where they connect with people that they obviously resonate with, that they can then go, wow, actually I'm going to go back and listen to that kōrero again. There might be something there for me. And, you know, for me, I think that's a special opportunity that you have, you know, that you are creating. I am without doubt about that, you know, that is sort of a residue of your idea that you have to contribute to people.
Yep. We do receive a few messages. We received one the other day. It's a good feeling. It's cool. Like we all share it amongst ourselves, and we're like, oh, this is pretty awesome that people can reach out to us, even people we don't even know. So that's awesome. Yeah, makes us feel like we're doing something good with the potty and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Fan battle shoes on. We're getting to the party. Mechanics on off, bro. We're getting
committed, committed.
Haka for Life, bro. Now, what is Haka for Life, starters?
Haka for Life was a movement that I created in 2017, and that was based around a suicide prevention idea that I had. You know, all tied to men's mental health and the suicide rates that we're seeing, the statement around men dying in silence, and me being passionate about men and all of that sort of stuff, doing a self-development program where I got the opportunity to create a community event. And that was sort of something that I had always wanted to learn, how to create events, and I was able to do this. And so I came up with this idea, having previously done the Haka on Barrow Island, because we used to do Haka for Anzac Day up on Barrow Island.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. And something that I loved.
Do you still have those first initial videos, bro?
From
the Haka for Life up at your fella's camp?
Yeah, bro. Yeah. They're all still online and that. Yeah. And I look back at those times and they're really, really special. But 2017 I created what I called the Anzac Day Haka for Life, and I sort of got the name of it. I remember talking to my best friend. He's passed away now, but his nephew had taken his life. You know, and I was over in Sydney at the time, and they had his tangi over here, and I said to him, what was the send-off like, you know, and he said, oh, fuck, we done a mean haka for him, bro, you know, and I remember saying to him, fuck, I don't want a haka for them when they're dead, bro. You know, our people need someone to haka for life when they're alive.
Yep.
You know, we need to be in haka while they're fucking alive, not while they're dead. It's too late.
Yep.
You know, they're gone.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yep.
You know? I mean, as much as we still do those at tangi today, you know, for me, it's like I want to fucking haka for someone's life while they're alive, while we're here next to each other.
Yep.
You know, like your mate. When they're gone, hey, there's nothing that I say or do that's ever going to change that outcome. And so I created, this event of doing a haka up at Anzac Day
Seen that
in
plenty
2017,
times,
and reached out to
About Kings Park, yeah.
Kings Park, bro, you know, and just sort of use some of my old contacts from when I used to do the rugby commentating, and I used to write for the Western Suburbs Weekly doing their rugby column, and phoned them, and they gave us the opportunity. Well, they said, look, we're looking for an Anzac Day story. And they put us on the front page of their newspaper, which sort of started other news media contacting us, and then on that day in 2017 it went viral on the internet, just took off, and from then that's how Haka for Life was sort of born. For me initially, I just thought we'll just do a haka, get everybody together, it'll be all cool, but it took on a life of its own. And that was one thing that I realised from that day. I hadn't done any planning past that. It was just, we'll just do this moment. And
Just plant the seed.
Plant the seed and see what happens.
then holy shit, you know, I remember sitting down with my whānau afterwards, sort of a few days afterwards, and I'd created a team to put it all together, and they were like, what next?
Yep.
You know, it's come alive. You know, and I remembered in that moment as a person or as a leader that I had the ability to enroll people, but I didn't know how to create teams and structure teams and have teams perform. I thought, fuck. I actually don't know, whānau. I didn't say that to them, but internally that's what I was thinking.
You look confident.
But as you know,
You look confident, eh, bro?
as you know, as a PT, you fit. Yeah, oh well, jump on the treadmill, we'll find out, or something. You know, you put it under a bit of a burner.
Winging it.
Yeah, I was winging it. Yeah, and then from there, I went and done courses that developed my sort of team leadership and management ability. And then in 2018, I created the first ever haka in corroboree.
Yep.
And it was all built around, and this is something that we'll walk into in the future, is creating opportunities for people to
Is that
use
an
our culture.
indigenous war dance, bro?
Yeah, corroboree is the equivalent of our haka, bro. Well, in different parts of Australia, different, blackfellas and that call it. Some of them call it corroboree, some of them call it other names.
Okay, yeah.
Over here on Noongar Budget, that's what they
Yep.
refer to there. Same thing as our haka is
Yep.
their corroboree.
Yep.
For the Aboriginals and that. So, and that was just using culture to bring men together, essentially. And women. What I found out quite quickly was that women are incredible at standing for people's lives, and they wanted to be a part of it, and then children. So it's sort of expanded to everything. But it's creating opportunities, and what I've seen is events. Because at this time we're growing, one of the things I learnt quite early was, even though you get a whole lot of media and a whole lot of hype, when we were going to apply for funding and grants and all of that, it had all been allocated. You go and sit down in meetings with people and, oh shit, the funding's gone, and we've already allocated it to people. So it become pretty hard to access sort of funding. We had to do it on a shoestring budget.
So is that you go sponsorship, things like that? Yeah.
Yeah. We recently got some sponsorship in that, but we've just done it. A lot of it's just volunteering. Whānau giving their own time. I don't get paid for anything that I do for Haka for Life. I'm going over to Sydney soon, and I paid for my own airfares. We pay for our own accommodation, and this is the realities of
non for profit.
Yeah, not for profit. We're a registered charity in that, but that doesn't mean shit. People still don't necessarily donate or anything like that. But what I want it to be,
I promise you, bro, you're going to be part of that. So I wrote my goals on my phone, bro. Make $100,000 for various charities. You're my next one now.
Awesome, brother.
Haka for life, bro.
Me.
That's how I'm going to get to 100
Haka
grand.
for life.
Haka for life, bro.
Yeah.
That's my next one.
Thank you, whānau. And inside of these events that I've sort of seen, we've got Anzac Day, which is something I'm passionate about, of having especially haka and corroboree present on Anzac Day, because I personally feel that they don't acknowledge our Indigenous cultures and their inclusion in Anzac Day powerfully at all. You know, for us, we get the haka and corroboree, but we actually have to have haka and corroboree after the service, and they call that being included.
Yep.
You know, and I've never called that being included when it's finished.
Of course.
Last year I created the first Indigenous coloured diggers service here for an Anzac Day in Perth. It's the first one in Western Australia, and I'm thankful that we've got the City of Perth that are supporting us this year to create it again, and opportunities though that create, you know, the opportunity for people to come and learn haka or to learn corroboree or to learn culture and another aspect, sitting down and having a yarn or having a kōrero, and you know, for those people that want to expand as leaders or you know want to lead sort of groups of people, I'm a huge encourager in sort of developing people. So we're doing our Mardi Gras now, and I've got people that are working, you know, amongst the team, and everything that I do with them is trying to grow them. You know, so it's what I see as Haka for Life is at the moment we've got a couple of big events that we do every year, Mardi Gras and Anzac Day, and then we're looking at other aspects, which I've just been having a kōrero to manawa mai tāwhiti today, and I'm going to get around to a couple of other rōpū in Perth. And that what I'm seeing is that a lot of different groups in Perth, especially from back home, are really, really struggling for numbers. It's really tough. And but I see an enormous amount of Māori. You know, they have a phenomenal ability to get to concerts like LAB and 660. Juicy Fest. But when we have kaupapa around Anzac Day, you know,
it's pretty slack. Like it is pretty slack.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame. Like we went to like dawn service, and it's a shame when you don't see people, I don't know, like making an effort, you know, just to kind of acknowledge our Anzacs and stuff like that. But
well, for me, it's the day of all days.
Yeah.
For us in Australia and New Zealand, and especially for us, I think in Australia.
Did you have your seaman outfit on?
Nah. I wear my medals though. Wear the medals. It's cool. You see some people wearing like their grandparents' medals and things like that. It's pretty awesome to see. Or little kids wearing their grandparents that are passed on their medals and stuff. So it's pretty awesome.
I had Auntie Sandy this morning for she come and done a workout this morning, and she's cruising back to NZ to pick up her great grandfather's
medals. She told me the story about that.
The army base up in
Memorial.
Waitangi. Memorial up in Waitangi. She's going back, and she had to do all her birth certificate and her
bit of a mission,
back up to her great grandfather.
Get her hands on those,
Yeah,
I got some replica ones too of my both my great grandfathers too that I was gifted last year. And it's pretty special. But I suppose to answer your question directly at this time, bro, Haka for Life is a platform that creates conversations around mental health and well-being, suicide prevention, you know, and we've got some events that we create and put together that allow people to come and contribute. As I was saying earlier, I've got people that I've never met, some people that I'm going to get to meet in Sydney in a couple of weeks' time by creating this kaupapa for us, being included in Mardi Gras, where it's about suicide prevention and well-being. And I just feel so blessed, you know, to be able to have done a haka way back in 2017 and just sort of plan for that one moment in time, and then there was an opportunity past that, you know, by staying consistent and staying committed, and the areas where I've got to sharpen up, I get sharper. You know, part of that's fuck the drugs off, bro. Fuck the piss off. I'm not anti-alcohol or anything, but for me, you know, where I looked at the trajectory of where I wanted to go in life, I just had to change some things, and that's where it's heading.
Make a few sacrifices.
Well, I don't even know if they're sacrifices. I don't even know if that's the right word to use for it. I mean, it's but. You know, that's what you just got to do it. It's not even. It's like, bro, realign it. You know, like if you want to show up how you want to show up, it's not even a sacrifice. It's something that saves your life. You know, really.
I turned down a beer from Cairo today, bro.
Well, I saw you drink 2 Cokes and
and Oreos.
The Mardi Gras, bro. Do they do one here?
Oh, we haven't done the Perth one yet.
Just
the Perth one
Sydney.
yet. Yeah, just the Sydney one so far.
That's the big one, eh? That's the big one.
That's a big event,
bro.
eh?
Yeah, they're expecting about 500,000 people there this year. It's
People travel for that, eh? They go all out though.
All out.
yeah, yep.
And do you just go on the floats through the streets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we create our own float, so I'm going over on February the 20th
Yep.
to the 27th and going to build it with an uncle of mine He's taken a week off work, and we will find a factory space. We can't build it at my mate's factory where we normally have, because we've got a bit of a different design to the float this year, and when we drive it out of his factory, we'd literally have an inch each side to get the truck out, literally. And now, because we've made this design change, we can't actually get it out, so we've got to find a space. But we'll go over there and we'll build the float and put it all together. So a lot of it gets actioned, during that week that we're there. So it's pretty unique. I'm proud of the fact that we go over there from, we're Perth based, and we go over there and utilise whānau that we've got over there, and people that are willing to support us, and, creating the conversations around, got, conversations now with our yarning circle, with our tangata moimoia that are gathering. They're going to do our corroboree piece, so we're managing that, and they put together what they feel to put together. I don't, sort of create the base of it and say, hey, here's the ideas that we've got. We've got a bit of time, let's get it in, so we don't force any pressure on anybody. And especially in the creative space, you've got to allow time and space for creatives. So the more time I can give them, the greater the creation that they're able to manifest. So they're doing that. We've got our kaiwero that are working on our haka piece and that, and we've got our they do toa, they do maurako, that's their art. I like to stay in my lane, but I have the kōrero with them, brothers, this is what we're looking at, and then allow them to creatively put things together, and then it starts to sort of take shape if you allow people to contribute to those sorts of things. And underlying all of those is that we're without doubt that we're there for suicide prevention. I'm fortunate that we have a live float, so we have a big sound system that's on our float, and it's the loudest sound system in the
mean, bro.
Yeah, I don't think we'd be Māori if we didn't have the loudest one there. But I get to, but I get to share a bit of our message as we're going, talking to those people that are in the crowd. Because one thing that I've learnt, I was a homophobic fella, man. When I done this haka in 2017, and I said that I stand for the lives of all men, I get asked, "Do you stand for gay men?" I thought, "Oh, fuck, that's a good point." Yeah, I do. Well, how can you demonstrate that? Well, one good way of demonstrating it is jumping in the Mardi Gras parade and putting a float in there, and that's been a journey to learn and discover about the LGBT community that suffer the highest rates of suicide. So again, it's a big harihari. It's a happy carnival and parade. It's incredible. I've never experienced anything like that in life. The energy is fucking off the chain, man. If you ever get the opportunity to go,
check it out.
Fuck, do more than check it out. Jump on our float, like it's next level.
On the bucket list.
Yeah.
Fuck, there's some hot chicks there too, hey?
Some hot fellas too. Ooh, whatever you're into. Whatever you're into, Neff.
Fingers crossed the float or the battery doesn't go flat, eh? You want to be the only float.
Yeah, check your battery.
Check your battery.
We got 80 whānau there to push it. It's all good, but yeah, it's wonderful, bro. And it's such an experience and something that I'm proud of. For our culture to be there, because we get the haka as part of it as well too.
Choice, bro. Plans for yourself or for Haka for Life for the future, bro? Yeah,
well, it's to cement a couple of these events. Like I want to leave that legacy for Mardi Gras. I want us to be a part of Mardi Gras every year. And I'm a heterosexual man, and I've seen that there are people with greater creative minds than mine. So when I go and when I step aside and all those sorts of things, I'd love to look back, and for those that are going to take our float over to see what they get to create. If you create a space for people to show up with their gifts, extraordinary things can happen. Anzac Day is something for me, whether it's just me doing a haka by myself anywhere in the world, but Anzac Day is a day that I want to have Māori and Aboriginal cultures present and a part of those Anzac Day services. Right across Australia. I also want to create the first ever haka and corroboree back home for an Anzac Day service, and take our mob back there. But I also want to create the first ever haka and corroboree at Gallipoli as well. I think that's important for us to go there, and then I'd like to go to England. Actually, that's just a bit of a double-folded message there, to demonstrate to them the power of the cultures that they once tried to destroy. They had a big part of Anzac Day, but we've got a lot of Kiwis there. It's just, I think that'll be a great opportunity. I've got a business that I'm doing. I do mining leadership and mental wellbeing consultancy in the FIFO industry. So a focus for me is to grow my business personally, but I'll always stay connected to Haka for Life. That's who I am. And I remember being at Te Wairua Tapu Church in Sydney last year, and the priest there said to me that he's one of your whānau, actually from up north.
Who's that one?
Should I just call him Billy T? He just reminds me of Billy
Funny
T.
fella,
James.
he's a funny fella.
Well, I've never been to a church where the bro's got the white collar and he's out the front with the cigarette.
Oh, Catholic. Is he Catholic?
Not sure.
The white collar's with the Catholic, eh?
Oh, I thought you were going to say because he smokes. But he was smoking. And
I think they're using vapes these days.
oh, no, it was a clear cigarette, but I loved how authentic he was, you know. And he said, "Oh no, you fellas all judge me. This isn't a sermon." And I'd sworn never to go into a church again, and I went in one for the first time in 13 years. But he said, "I know you fellas all laugh at me smoking, but this between me and that fella up there."
Yeah.
But one thing that he said to me was that sometimes the kaupapa in life chooses you.
Yep.
And so for me, he said, you have to do that for the rest of your life. And so that's something that I'll commit to, whether it's Haka for Life or anything around,
Yeah.
you know, suicide prevention or helping our whānau out or helping any person out for that matter. That's just the man I want to show up as in life.
There's so much meaning, so much passion, so much mana, bro. It's proud that I know you, bro. You know, listening to your story, I feel proud.
Powerful
that I know
story,
you, bro.
bro.
Yeah.
Powerful
Well,
story.
I just remember our days, you know, like we're having a laugh about those Woolworths days, and
Yeah.
that's when my marriage was broken down. You know,
Yeah.
when I was loading those docks up with this fella every morning, and
I was probably picking that.
yeah.
Probably got the order wrong too, actually.
You know, and to see where life takes us, you know, it's interesting. We never know, and you know, I say this to you fellas with your podcast, you just never know, man.
Yeah.
Stay sharp,
Yeah.
do what you do it with lots of passion, and you never know where it'll end up.
You mean?
Mean, bro.
Just like from us boys, like fuck, you know, I know Will wants to help out, and us as a potty too would love to kind of get behind it and help out any way we can as well. So like if there's any events or whatever, happy to kind of talk after the potty and see what we can do to kind of tautoko the cause, and like it's pretty awesome.
Hard, bro.
So keen to get behind it and help out.
Hard.
Oh, thank you, brothers. Oh, well, it's been awesome coming in and spending some time and just
Yeah, bro.
thanks, you know, for letting me contribute on your podcast.
Yep.
I'll be honest, I'm not really good at the haka. The boys know my track record. I've got Kamate and Tika Tonu down lock. But
have you, Neff?
when I get, I've done the Macarena once. I was too drunk. But
Throw in
like,
alcohol,
you know,
bro.
it's funny. My brother just got married, and whole whānau's just fluent Māori, Turu Māori, and everything. And they got up. I was like, Kamate? No, bro, you fucking sit this one out. They perform kapaka and everything, and it was awesome haka, and I was like, man, it just, you know, made me think I need to kind of brush up on my haka and te reo. So yeah.
Yeah. What I love about our culture, I just want to share this why I'm so passionate about us doing haka, is I just love our culture. You know, I love haka. I love the power of haka. I remember going to America and the Tongva people there, the people, the traditional owners of Southern California, and they said to us, thank you for bringing your medicine to our lands. And they see haka as medicine.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, haka has a place of healing humanity, and that's why I'm so passionate about us sharing it.
Yeah.
Mean, bro. Mean. So for anyone that wants to find you, bro, where can they go?
Haka for Life, bro, on Facebook seems to
On
be
Facebook?
that's our big platform here for us,
Yep.
and we've just jumped on to Instagram as well. But Haka for Life on Facebook, and
Yep.
I'm on there too as well on Facebook. Always active, but yeah, that's where they'll find us, bro.
You have like your not-for-profits links and stuff like that all sorted, bro? Like on Instagram and stuff like that?
Yeah. Oh well, we're just working that one out, bro.
Okay.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah,
Somebody stole Haka for Life when I started it up. You know, had to message him. Any chance you can give the name back to us? And nah. But I mean, they post photos, so all good.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So we just got our Instagram going and that, but we're on we've got a website as well too. But a lot of our stuff we get a great following through Facebook, so we
Facebook and
just
that.
bounce off there.
Mean. Choice, bro. On behalf of us, bro, just want to thank you for coming on and sharing your message, bro. Powerful message. We just want to wish you well for the future, bro.
Yeah, thanks. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, and likewise, you know, anything that we can do to promote you out there, most definitely. And I was quite proud telling my kids, hey, I'm going to talk with the Hories with stories. They were having a good laugh too as well, so it's awesome. Thanks so much.
Choice, bro. Before we close off, Job, your moment.
Yeah, I ended up changing it, bro.
Oh, you did?
Halfway through, bro. The bro, he sort of pepped me up. He said, you know, the only thing that can actually bring us down is our own mind. And, you know, like our wairoa, our tinana, we carry it in like our vessel, our waka, bro. The only thing that can sink it, bro, is the water that comes from inside the waka, eh? Everything else can't sink us, bro, but the own water inside the waka is the only thing that can sink us. Same thing with our mind, eh, bro? It's the only thing that can sink us, bro.
Mean.
So that's the wisdom, boys. I'll really change it up really quick. The bro pepped me up. Beautiful.
Nice,
Love it,
bro.
brother.
Nice, bro. Well, that's us for another episode. Pong, do you want to end us on a song or something, bro? Juicy Fest.
Something stupid, boys. I got mocked on social media for my whoop. Woo! So we're going to sign out Nature Boy Pong with the Ric Flair song. Sorry, brothers. Woo! Kia ora whānau.
All right, whānau, that's us for another week.
All right, ka kite whānau.
Later.
Thanks, bro.
Oh, thank you,
Appreciate
bro.
it. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah,
Well
thanks.
done,
The space.
mean brother. Mean, awesome.
Tougher.
Yeah, no, I actually forgot.